we're going to have the AFC offseason grades. We're going to split it AFC, NFC. AFC this week, NFC next week.
I feel like it's only right.
Yeah, we'll start with the AFC because it's better, and Pittsburgh's in it, so hometown team, and it's the much better conference. And then we'll kind of, dump on some teams in the NFC because I do think it's interesting, and we'll talk about this next week too after we do the NFC, and we'll kind of compare the disparity between the two and the grades. I think I'm going through here, and I'm like, there's not a ton of C's. There's no D's in the AFC. I'm looking off the top of my head, right, thinking NFC, like we did a couple already. There's going to be some C's, low-end C's, maybe even a D. So it's like the disparity, and you see it with the talent level as well, right? It's very clear that the AFC is much better quarterbacks, better weapons, right? I think we did the quarterbacks, and we did the top 10 AFC. It looks like the top 10 in the league, period. So it's like it makes a ton of sense that the grades would reflect that because I think the GMs are better, the front offices are better, and it's relaying to better talent. So nonetheless, we'll have sports news after that. So without further ado,
let's get right into the draft grades for the 2020 or 2023 NFL draft
and offseason as well.
In the offseason in the AFC. Let's go.
Let's go and start with the AFC North and with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to give them an A-. Now, I do think they addressed every major need right now. So they needed another defensive lineman. They go get Keanu Benton in, I think, the third round. Right? They obviously needed an offensive lineman, Broderick Jones. We get him in the first round. I think he's going to start day one. I don't think he's got the ceiling of like the Paris Johnson tackle from Ohio State. Like, I don't think he's got that ceiling, but I think you could look up at in 10 years and be like, damn, he was a really good B+, A- starter for the last 10 years, right? And that's the kind of guy Pittsburgh needs. I like the Joey Porter pick. Again, I don't think he's going to be a stud, but we got nobody at DB, so I think he's going to be very, very productive. I think he's going to be a lot closer to like a Trayvon Diggs, big play, but also maybe a big miss on some of the plays, getting burned deep. We needed a rotational edge rusher. I like the Herbig pick. All in all, I think Pittsburgh had a really nice draft. Offseason acquisitions as well. You go get Isaac Samalo, I want to say his name is. I probably butchered it, but the guard from Philly, very good guard, veteran guy, going to come in, start immediately. So I think Pittsburgh gets an A- here.
I think so too. And the Joey Porter pick, I think he has a lot of room to grow into that role.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I think the first season to 2 seasons might be a little bumpy, but I think after you get through that, I think the size, the length, he's still like learning how long he is and learning how to use that size and learning how to use his body. So I think he's somebody that can really grow into a good role there.
Couldn't agree more. Baltimore, I'll give a B. So I think, first of all, you need a quarterback in this league. We know that. You were able to get a quarterback. Do I think you overpaid a little bit? Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you got to overpay for good things, and I think without him, you're not a competitive team in the AFC, so I get it.
And let's be real, Lamar's special.
Yeah, for sure. Lamar's a top 10 quarterback, absolutely.
Then they go and add good weapons. They're good. They're really good weapons.
Have the potential to be great, but also have the potential to be bad, so we'll put them at good for now.
Right, there are just those looming concerns with them.
I think that's why they're not higher in the grade, but I think a B is a very solid offseason. You got better. And let's see how it translates to the field. Cincinnati will go A-. Look, I didn't mind their draft at all. I thought it was a really, really productive draft. They get starters. They get the edge rusher. They go get another receiver. Like I like their draft a ton. Now, they might have to move off T. Higgins. We'll see. Joe Mixon in the offseason has been a little bit bumpy. That's why they're not a little bit higher. But they go get an offensive lineman. They go get a wide receiver. They go get some defense, right? Like, they're supporting Joe Burrow, and that's obviously what you have to do. They exercise the 5th option on him. They re-signed a bunch of good, like, rotational pieces, right? Good, like a good veteran linebacker. They got like a good veteran safety. Now they lose Jesse Bates, but they go get a good productive safety. So it's just little moves like that. A- for Cincinnati.
They're being very calculated.
And they haven't been. It's been Cincinnati.
Right, and it's kind of a newer thing that we're seeing there, and I think Zach Taylor has a lot to do with that. He's been great there.
Yeah, I agree. Cleveland, we can kind of speed by. If you go watch the video where we talked about winners and losers of the draft, Cleveland was a loser. We'll give them a C here. I didn't love their draft. I didn't think they did a ton of things outside of the draft as well. They didn't have a ton of picks either because they gave a bunch up for Deshaun.
Well, then they drafted a backup. Like they drafted somebody that is going to be a backup quarterback.
Yeah, so not a huge win, not a terrible loss, I guess. We'll give them a C. So we want to the AFC South. I think the Jags get a B+. So first of all, they get Calvin Ridley back. Now that was last offseason, but he couldn't play. So we'll give it this offseason, the grade.
It'll roll over.
Again, supporting Trevor Lawrence. They go get a tackle to protect him. They get weapons for him on the outside.
Yeah.
Evan Ingram they re-sign, right? So they're They're making sure that Trevor Lawrence has everything he needs to succeed. Because if you don't have a quarterback in this league, you have nothing. You have to make that work.
And they have a quarterback, and once you find your quarterback, you have to do everything to make them comfortable. Everything you can.
And I think they're doing a pretty good job of it.
I think so.
Colts, I'm going to give a B-. I thought Levis was a better prospect than Anthony Richardson. So they're going to go get Richardson. They didn't acquire a ton of talent on the outside. They don't have a lot of guys to throw to. But also, they did get some nice core pieces. So a B- for the Colts feels right.
I 100% agree with that.
I like the coaching hire as well, so that's good. Houston, I'm going to go give an A-. I think they got 2 of the top 5 players in the draft. Now, yeah, I know they gave up a little bit to do it. I'm fine with that, though. If you can go get your edge rusher for the next 6 years, and even C.J. Stroud's not a home run forever, if he can come in and complete 64% of his throws, I don't know, 18 touchdowns, 9 picks as a rookie, they're going to be a much, much better team. This is a sneaky team where they could double their win total. Now, that's not a lot. It's 3 wins. So they could go could they go win 6 games? Yes, it's a step in the right direction. I love the D'Amico Ryans hire. Even though he's defensive, I think he brings an aura similar to like a Mike Tomlin where he could turn it around, big culture guy. So I'll give Houston an A- here.
Yeah, I like that. And it's something in the right direction. I mean, they've just been plummeting now for, 2-3 seasons? So,
pretty much, yeah.
So finally finding a semblance of a step in the right direction is good.
Yeah, I agree. Titans, I'll give a C+. I think Skoronski's a decent pick. I think he's going to project more as a guard, though, than anything. So how highly do we value guards? I mean, they needed an offensive lineman, period, so I guess that's good. But again, how highly do we value guards in the NFL? Not very highly. And I think the Will Levis pick's okay, but trying to convince yourself that Ryan Tannehill is still going to be your quarterback is a little bit ridiculous. I would have tried to wheel and deal him and move him.
Yeah.
I don't know what you could have got, maybe a third. But at this point, your roster needs talent, and I think a third would have been decent. Also, I'm torn on do they deal Henry? Do they keep Henry? I think he's aging, so I think you could maybe move off him while the stock is still a little bit up and go get some draft capital and invest on the outside. They might have the weakest receiving room in the league. And in a perimeter league, that's not good. Defense is still bad, so for me, it's a C+.
And Derrick Henry had very quietly one of the worst years of his career this last year.
Which is still saying something that it wasn't even that bad of a season either.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but I mean, he is on an apparent downgrade now. He's just sliding.
He's on the downward slope.
Further and further down every single year. He's out of his prime, and you have to be able to realize it and not have that sentimental value with every single player on the team. Belichick and the Patriots have been a great example of this. It doesn't matter who it is. As soon as they start sloping down, deal and go get somebody while you can still get value for that person.
Yeah.
If you hold on to Derrick Henry too long, my fear is that you're going to lose all value in him, and you're not going to be able to get anything.
Yeah, that's fair. Let's move on to the AFC East here. Let's go with Buffalo. I'm going to give them a B. I like the Kincaid pick, but on the outside, they're still a little bit limited outside of Stephon Diggs. I don't trust Gabe Davis as a reliable 2. I think he's more of a 3 on a championship team, which that's the aspiration for Buffalo.
Yeah.
I like the Osiris Torrance pick as a guard. I had a first-round grade on him. He slips to the 2nd for Buffalo, so that's a nice pick up there. But another underrated thing, Leslie Frazier, their DC, is taking the year off. I don't know what. Probably maybe something personal, or maybe they decided we're going to try somebody else. I don't know. It said on their website that he's taking a break. Whatever. Not my problem. But nonetheless, that's a problem, right? He's a really, really good high-end defensive coordinator, and it's a really high-end defense. So do they maybe take a step back? Who knows? Josh Allen was regressing last year, so we'll give him a B for now.
And with Brian Daboll not being there, we could see how the pieces were kind of missing this last season.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially on those important downs, on third downs. And then even when they would try to construct something that was kind of supposed to be really intelligent and intricate, it kind of fell apart. Because when you don't have a great mind like that in the building anymore, you can see things start to fall apart. So unless they can kind of find something to put that back together, it could get a little bit ugly there.
Okay, let's go Patriots C+. I love the Bill O'Brien move. I like the Christian Gonzalez pick. Outside of that, they drafted like a kicker, a punter, a couple gadget guys who literally under their position is listed wide receiver / punt returner. If you're listed as a slash, you should not be drafted. I'm just saying, unless you're like a Desmond Howard, Devin Hester type player, which I don't think either of them are, considering they were like 6th and 7th round picks. So again, a little bit of a puzzling draft. A lot of centers and kickers, punters, right? So did they address some needs? Yes. Did they get decent players? Yes. But did they get better at the glaring weakness, which is they have no offensive speed. No, they did not. For that, it's a C+.
And well, you can't forget that because Bill Belichick has so much power in the drafting process, and he has his hand in everything there, you never really see a good draft from the Patriots.
Not as of late, no. Not in the last 6-7 years.
I was going to say half a decade.
Close, yeah. Jets, we're going to go A- based solely on the fact that you needed a quarterback, you got an MVP Hall of Fame level quarterback. Is he on the downward slope of his career?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course he is.
Could he still be really productive? Is he still really talented? Absolutely. I think he's going to...
For sure.
And now it might take some time with the young receivers, but we know Aaron always comes out with a vengeance when stuff like this happens, right? They draft Jordan Love, wins MVP, right? So, kind of feels a little bit dissed by the fan base, moves to a new place, has to prove himself. Could we see an angry, highly motivated Aaron? I think we do. I think he's got a good season. A- for that.
And my question is, how long does that last?
Maybe a year or two, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I think it gets them into playoff contention, which is they win 7 games with negative contribution from their quarterbacks last year.
Right, so you're gonna see an improvement this year, and that's not a shock to anybody.
Yeah, and I do like the Allen Lazard pickup too. I think he's a really good 2 or a 3. Closer to 3. All right, Dolphins, I'll give a B. I like the Jalen Ramsey pickup. But again, drafting a bunch of running backs, the running back room is 6 running backs deep at this point.
And that's not what they need. That's not their identity.
They need offensive linemen, and they need linebackers, and they didn't get either of them. The Dolphins, a B. I like the swing with, I like the addition of Vic Fangio, the DC, and I love Jalen Ramsey as the pickup. Those two combined are going to make that defense a lot better. But again, on offense, I think you needed some more core pieces, in the middle of your offensive line. Along with maybe some linebackers on defense, but they didn't get that, so we'll give them a B.
And a big part of grading your draft is how well you stick to your identity and what you do well. We didn't see much of that.
Yeah, I agree. AFC West here. I think this might be the strongest offseason division-wise. So the Chiefs, I'll give a B, which is actually the lowest of it, but it's not a bad B. They just didn't do anything flashy, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't mind the first-round pick. I thought there were better players available. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name. I'm going to butcher it. He's a defensive lineman. I don't hate the pick itself. I like the Rashee Rice pick, the wide receiver from SMU, as the second rounder. That's a really nice pick. They're going to have a lot of speed. Him, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Travis Kelce, right? They have a lot of speed on offense. But again, they didn't do anything super flashy, so for that, we'll give them a B. Chargers, I think A. I think this is the highest grade we have here in the AFC, a flat A, not an A-. The Kellen Moore pickup is massive.
Yeah.
They haven't had an offensive identity, right? It's kind of been first half will be okay, and then the wheels are going to fall off because we don't really know what we are in the second half as we get into the nitty-gritty. Can we run the football? Can we maintain clock? Can we put Justin Herbert in some better positions late in the game? They haven't been able to. That's been their problem. They lost by what? After they were up 30 in the playoff game. I think with Kellen Moore, that gets a lot better. I like Quentin Johnston, the pickup, the wide receiver. Good possession receiver for Herbert to throw to, along with Mike Williams. So Chargers for me is an A.
I agree. And you see Brandon Staley start to take a lot of uncalculated risks, especially late in the games. And I think with Kellen Moore, you kind of avoid at least some of those. Is he going to go out and take a swing and a risk every now and then? Absolutely. That's what great coaches do. But it has to be calculated. It has to be thought through. And I think he brings that side to it that they haven't had.
And one little stat here that'll show you that is that the Cowboys were, I think, either number 1 or they were top, they were close to the top of the league in red zone efficiency last year. They had Cooper Rush starting a couple games, Dak, bunch of injuries. They had basically a rebuild on the offensive line. Yeah. Receiving core outside of CeeDee Lamb was pretty weak, and they were really good in the red zone. So that shows that they're calculated, very detail-oriented, and that's what he's bringing to the table, which I think is going to help tremendously. Broncos, B+. Sean Payton's a fantastic pickup. Outside of that, they didn't do anything that I really liked, but Sean Payton is a good enough pickup to make them a B+. He's a top 5 head coach in the league. He's a Hall of Fame level coach.
Getting rid of Nathaniel Hackett was the best thing they did all offseason long.
Absolutely. Raiders, I'll give a B+. I think it's a slight downgrade at quarterback. I like Derek Carr a little bit better than Jimmy G, but Jimmy G in big games has been very, very good. Does not lose a ton in his career when he's healthy, so that's a plus.
It's just how long can he stay healthy?
Yeah, how long can he stay healthy? But other than that, they made a couple decent moves. Nothing too flashy, but a lot of solid moves. Got a burner. I like a Tyree Wilson pick on the outside, on the edge there for them. So decent draft. I'll go B+ there.
I like it.
There it is.
So go check out the Instagram, guys. All the list graphics will be posted there. So go check out those draft grades and make sure you throw a like, throw a subscribe, anything to make sure that you can see the next video that comes out the following week, because we will be doing the NFC. But for now,